sacrifice his AD Kennen and just put a top lane into the Camille. It's a very acceptable matchup, but Fnatic is so dead set on this AD carry, AD Kennen, that they really want to forgo that. And they're playing a very tricky composition here. No tank whatsoever. Broxah brings the main engaged. If Fnatic fall behind any tiny bit in the early game, especially on the Fiora, their mid game is doomed.
Well, if you're going to gamble, now is the time, right?
Yeah.
You've got nothing left. You might as well take one final shot. You might as well give it your all. If you know you're the team that's not going to be able to fight the 5v5s, you might as well try to beat them as individuals. And Fnatic have the tools to do it. But Misfits round out their composition with the Ryze pick, and this is not something we see quite as much from PowerOfEvil.
No, but it is something he has added to his arsenal throughout the split. PoE was notoriously known as a small champion pool player who never played the Ryze even when it was metagame, and then suddenly he brought it back. Ryze has seen many iterations. People are afraid to see so many of the rework potentially of Ryze because his champion is either broken, busted, or bad. And
the
no
three
variation.
Bs of Ryze.
The 3 Bs of Ryze. Not the AVC, just BBBB.
Rough to see. And of course, right now the meta fits PowerOfEvil perfectly, but still with everything banned out, has to find comfort somewhere else. We'll see how his Ryze can stack up against Caps, because each and every one of these Fnatic lanes has the potential to blow the game wide open.
And then we go back to what the analyst was talking about, you know, the Ficio said it right there, Fnatic. So dead set on the split pushers. Fiora in a lane. LeBlanc can go on a side lane. Kennen AD carry, who technically likes to be in a side lane. Fnatic again drafted 3 split pushers with only 2 lanes to split push on. So it'll be a fight for who ends up. The shortest straw ends up mid lane. And then Misfits, they have kind of Alphari, who has always been a perennial split push player, doesn't like tanks. He needs to go off on the Camille. So I think we track the junglers in the early game, Drakos. We see where they go. Can they snowball?
And Broxah on that pick that he made his name on the first few weeks in the LCS stage, dodging KaKAO ults, outplaying. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, game 1, Misfits versus Fnatic, a playoff spot on the line for Fnatic, and Misfits looking to exert that dominance. For now, keep our eyes on the bottom lane. PowerOfEvil going down, extra members from both sides, drawing their attention to the bottom side of the map.
I like this, what Misfits are doing here. So often, teams stop doing this here. A way to beat Zyra is to step on the plants in the early game, right? So what you do is, you just send somebody to help. So Rekkles is going to ward here, or just walk in, and then they could technically trade, but Misfits aren't even ready. We usually send in support so that the bottom lane can play a bit forward and get the plants out in the lane. Karma wants to poke early to stop that, because it all depends how many seeds you have planted far enough in the lane to influence the push. Because pushing now means winning a lane. It's no longer about killing.
And the thing is, we've seen in Fnatic sets, specifically in their set versus G2, how crucial that level 1 can be. It was Fnatic who got overeager, who gave up first blood. But for Fnatic, we have to remember the stakes. It's not just a higher seed in the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. It is playoffs. They have been in every single one. And I feel like this is the first time where it's been at risk.
Yeah, and this is excluding 2012 when there was no LCS. They were still playing in the version of playoffs back then. They lost against a great team. Sadly, they fell. But obviously, with so much talent in their opponent's team, it was very hard for them to advance.
Truly a great team. I can't remember any of the players' names or what happened to them, except for the mid laner. I've heard he's doing okay.
Yeah, he's doing okay for himself.
For now, though, lane's even, kind of waiting for a few levels under their belt before they can start the aggressive trading. And Krepo, you talked about it. While the bottom lane is important, we have to keep our eyes on the jungler. Yeah. Lee Sin and Elise, kind of all about that explosive early game.
Both starting top side. Let's see if any of them go for kind of Korean clear into gank, or if they both end up pathing towards the bottom side of the map, leaving that top lane matchup purely skill-based. Alphari versus sOAZ. Alphari looks like he has the push early on. Let's see if he can get good warding down if he's not afraid. In the bottom lane, though, push for Fnatic is great. Also, Rekkles playing with 3 potions definitely will win him the sustain war.
Yeah, maybe in very, very long lanes, the lifesteal for Doran's will outweigh, but for now, 3 pots can be way superior. Kennen already such a bully in the early laning phase, has the Karma as well, so 2 champions very well suited to controlling the early laning phase. Misfits, though, no slouch. Not falling too far behind just yet.
Let's see what Alphari does here. So he does a classic push. You know, some teams do this on the bottom side of the map as well, where they fast push and then they ward the enemy Gromp. Either the Gromp is gone, which means the jungler is now on the other side of the map, or it's up and he will always do the Gromp before he comes to gank you. So it's a really valuable ward. And Alphari now plays with the information that Broxah is on the other side of the map, so he can play a lot more carefree.
Yeah, because if we're talking about it, the teams see it as well. They know this is the big threat.
Yeah, they're smarter than us.
They know they got to respect that jungle. They need to respect that Lee Sin. For now, though, all is quiet. But the first gank timing is coming out. It looks like both junglers just content to continue clearing.
Yeah, and while Rekkles and Jesiz got the push off, they never got a deep ward off on the Gromp, so only now does Fnatic know the whereabouts of KaKAO. I think he just missed Broxah there. Yep. Broxah is level 3 though. He can punish this Raptor contest. KaKAO, he's smart enough.
KaKAO backing off a little slow on the reaction. Caps is coming in. PowerOfEvil on the way as well. Broxah heals up a little bit, but that's first blood. Overextension from Broxah.
Yeah, but I don't think he had vision there. So let's go back into what happens here between Caps. Can he survive if he drops his big?
On PowerOfEvil. There's no hope to move out. Nice movement up from Rekkles, but KaKAO's here as well. Cocoon is going to land, slowed up by the hail of arrows. Just a bit more damage. Nothing else going to come through.
A lot of things happen in this replay, and we have to break it down step by step. So Broxah, not only did he sidestep kind of the vision, so KaKAO had no knowledge that Broxah was there, right? Broxah said, you know what? I think this guy is going to take my Raptors. I'm ready to jump in. He called over his bot lane. So because bot lane is pushing, it is dangerous for KaKAO to invade. So technically, Broxah made a good call there. The problem was that KaKAO wasn't actually going for the Raptors. He was setting up for a mid lane gank. Broxah gave it 1, 2, 3 seconds. See, he waits. Look at the top banner, right? He doesn't, like, they don't see each other. Broxah's like, okay, I think this guy's gonna start Raptors. I'll let him start, waste cooldowns, so the 1, 2, 3 seconds. Then he dashes over. He called over his bot lane. Rekkles and Jesiz are already moving. But unfortunately, KaKAO was so quick on the trigger, and PoE moved in time to support his jungler in case of a collapse, that it worked out. Jesiz with a slightly unfortunate flash right there. But in the end, I think it's an okay play from Fnatic, and it only failed really hard because PoE was ready to support KaKAO, and KaKAO was honestly laser fast with that Cocoon.
So good. You talked about how important it is to get the jump. KaKAO's got the jump again. Broxah now has to turn tail and run.
You need your mid laner. You never fight unless you have mid lane priority. That means that you have the push, which means your mid laner can escape first. The same way, skirmishing junglers, check where your bot lane can react. Don't blame your bot lane for not being there. You should check the minimap first, see who's pushing, and that is exactly why push is such an important concept in today's League of Legends.
Right now, Misfits have the push almost across all 3 lanes. Camille coming back to top lane with the TP just to keep the push going. And suddenly the Varus and the Zyra have started to take control of that bottom side.
Yeah, and then we look at KaKAO, and he's obviously sporting Tracker's Knife. We shifted away from the Red Smite, and that means with pushing lanes, he can always path safely into jungle and plays deep wards, who are much more valuable than normal, shallow river wards.
Very true. You see one placed on the Gromp again by Alphari, keeping that vision up, keeping it consistent. Knowledge definitely in the favor of Misfits for now, but Broxah thinks he's gotten in, thinks he can find the angle on a gank. Really hungry to find a lead in one of these lanes. We've talked about it already, but snowballing is such a big factor here for Fnatic.
KaKAO also just keeping the pacing up is very important, and it's a very tough balance to find between ganking and farming for junglers.
For now, KaKAO continuing to farm up. Has the Tracker's Knife, as you mentioned, which will give him the vision edge. Scryer's Bloom as well, just to make sure he's safe as he approaches the bottom side. They're just going to opt to back as we see some small trades in the mid lane. For now, they're in favor of Caps. The Tear of the Goddess not giving Ryze quite as many beneficial stats, and KaKAO taking some time to clear out the vision, courtesy of that Scryer's Bloom.
That lasts long, because he did Skull Crab first, and then he went for the ward. I need to see about what PoE, how he deals with the pressure. This is like the 3rd Gromp ward, by the way. Alphari, if you're scouting Misfits right now, and you're in playoffs, perhaps you should notice a trend in Alphari's warding patterns.
Does that make you a biased caster, though? If you're like, hey guys, here's this really obvious thing that you can exploit?
No, because these guys already know. I think it's a standard, but it also shows you that you'll eventually see junglers moving around that ward. If you see junglers moving like funky pathing that is honestly inefficient, it's probably because they're dodging standard ward locations.
Well, Broxah did just leap over the wall, hiding now in the brush.
Well, they obviously want to hide the blue buff because it's really hard to steal this buff if it's in the brush, but if you just do it in front of that ward, any strange projectile looking for a home can steal that blue buff.
Yeah, there's no Korean Ezreal in this game, or Ezreal at all, so it's safe for now.
Couple Koreans.
Couple Koreans. Lee Sin, though, spotted out on the ward means Alphari does know it's time to back off, to relinquish some of the pressure on the top side of the map, but the CS still very much in his favor. The lane almost balanced and still with more than a 15 CS lead.
Waiting for the game to explode here. PoE not being hit too hard in the game just yet, playing that Ryze. Going even farm, even though he got triple banned out, pretty much, or quarter banned amongst the 2 ban phases. KaKAO, he's in counter gank position right now. They just want to find his Lee Sin, because when Broxah hit level 6, that is his window. Of course, he gets much more value out of that kick than at least gets over becoming a slightly better spider.
That is the playmaking period. For now, though, as you said, KaKAO focused on the defensive angle, focused on keeping PoE safe.
This could be a dirty combo here, because snare into flash cocoon is a kill.
Oh, Caps snared up. Here comes the cocoon. Will we see the flash as well? Chains land, but Broxah maybe looking to attend the party. Cocoon
like
goes wide.
Defensive mindset from KaKAO. You know, get the inside track, get the push out. The distortion back was allowed, so Caps was already back in his initial location. If you can get LeBlanc before she can jump back, before she gets that, what is it, 0.25 cast time on distortion, and you can just snare into cocoon right there, she just dies. And that's why Caps can't play as aggressive as he wants to unless he has vision at the race, at the Gromp.
In recent weeks, we've seen a huge kind of shift on the side of Misfits. Usually their early game is pretty solid, consistently finding leads for themselves, but they've been slumping, and this is something we talked about. And Fnatic, they've had excellent early games, explosive early games up against the likes of G2. And this may be an opportunity for Fnatic to exploit it, but we haven't seen that so far, Krepo. It's been so very even in this laning phase.
Yeah, it's been pretty stagnant. We're going to see if any team finds an opening. And again, it's the junglers needing to pair with the lanes. We have some cool pairings though. Elise and LeBlanc can always open something up. Elise Ryze is obviously a great ganker. Usually in games where this doesn't happen, you wait until the pairings group up and they just leave the lane, right? They go bottom for a little bit of fiesta, maybe they dive top lane. Camille is a fantastic diver. That ultimate resets turret aggro.
You've got Elise as well, who can also reset.
Yep. At one point, nobody wants to tank the turret. No, you tank the turret.
Please, you reset the aggro.
After you.
Oh, come on. Definitely can get the dive off, but taking their time, not looking to take any risks.
Underrated mechanic, by the way. If you're a support that's dying all the time, play Zyra, because you can seat check the brushes for a very brief amount of time. It reveals them. You saw it earlier. Fnatic was doing the classic. Rekkles and Jesiz love it. Push out, hide in second brush, and then be like, ha, surprise, we're still here. But IgNar just planted a seat down, saw them, and obviously the lane control then goes back to Misfits.
To be fair, it did work for them that one time. I think it was in a match versus Origin where they just hid and waited in lane.
It worked versus Origin.
It could work here, Krepo.
Yeah, this is a great gank from KaKAO too. It is somewhat counter gank, somewhat punishing cocky trading. He just needs to get the angle right here on sOAZ. That's why Alphari is playing right, so hoping that sOAZ goes left.
Auto attacks goes out. Already used the parry chain. CC comes in. Hextech ultimatum. Don't even need to dive.
You can influence your opposing laner's position by just trying to force him back right. If you play right, they're generally going to play left behind their minions. So if they don't think about the jungler being able to go into the lane, it's actually a really good way to force a gank. Instead of just going brute force trading, hoping that they trade back, no, you just angle them right.
Good setup so far. Not going to be able to grab the first shower. Broxah is here. Wait, another wave, you're right. But LeBlanc's on the way up. They're going to have to be safe. Can they commit to this? sOAZ is on the way.
Turns out you're right, because Caps was coming from the mid lane. Drakos obviously spotted this superior mid lane view.
Yeah, definitely just didn't see the minion wave. Brilliance.
But that happens very often, and that is also the mark of great mid laners. They just disappear, they push out, and they know that most of the time they'll be spotted, but the one time you're not, you can do so much damage, and that's why it's so important if you play a mid laner to constantly disappear into fog of war whenever you can, because it adds pressure.
And there's so many of those unknown elements. You're just talking about on the top side with playing left so your opponent plays right. Are they doing this because it's smart positioning? Are they doing this to move me into position for a gank? You don't know. Yeah,
and sometimes you can play dumb on purpose, and they'll have to respect you. Now we see a good trade here. Caps getting poked out of the lane. Broxah comes in late, so they can't even duel anymore. And again, Misfits really working together in duos.
And very patient. KaKAO still has the cocoon cooldown, doesn't swap to human form to use it, just backs off. Sees another member, says, no, we're not going to take this fight.
Yeah. KaKAO, PowerOfEvil, good duo. Alphari, KaKAO, also a great duo so far. Fnatic, they seem stuck individually in their lane. Broxah has a hard time slotting in. The setup isn't quite there yet.
And of course, they set themselves up for that. They set themselves up for a playstyle where it was sort of each man for themselves. All about the potential to carry the game as an individual.
Yeah, look at PoE, always leaning towards the jungle. This is also something, it's a bit of a tell, honestly. What side is the jungler on? You see where the mid laner is leaning towards. He is so close to that brush that he has warded, and he can always avoid jungle gank. So many lower tier entry-level players, they play as far back in the lane as they can, but they don't go sideways to match jungle pressure.
Too nervous about the monsters hiding in the brush. For now, though, Fnatic utilize the pressure advantage, do manage to break down this tower. Bit of a slip up from Misfits, but they're already on the Rift Herald. They're going to find some advantage back.
It's again, PoE is leaning left, which means KaKAO is left side, which means the right side belongs to Broxah, and instead of going for a gank, they just make a pressure play. They make it completely known to Misfits that they're alone on the bottom lane, and they take the turret. Herald is Usually not a great objective, but in a matchup where split pushing is such a great contributor to who wins the map between these two teams, I think it's okay when you already have a gold lead to get the Herald buff.
And not just a gold lead overall, but a massive lead in the hands of Alphari. Almost 30 CS up over
Just check the gold. This guy's 1,300 gold ahead of his opponent, and he now has the Herald buff.
That's a phage. That is an entire phage in his inventory just from CS differential.
And that means that Fnatic have to change their style. They have to play group up with your top laner and split the map style. That's what they're doing right now. sOAZ can no longer deal with Alphari. Rekkles can no longer deal with Alphari. So you go back to the lane swap era where you try to kind of out-tempo your opponent, but in essence, that's only accelerated the gold. And guess who benefits the most from that? Global Gold is the Ryze scaling in the mid lane in PowerOfEvil.
Happy to have it, IgNar and Hansama making the most of the Living Vengeance buff on that Varus attack speed, keeping pace so far.
Misfits, you are trading a second turret for Dragon here, or I guess they're going out. They're going to help their bottom lane. Okay, they're going deep into these trades.
This is hyper aggressive. Now, keep in mind, Camille does have the Sheen. It will speed this up, but then 3 members fast. Oh wow, that was actually insanely fast.
Do you remember the times where we'd start the game, take 2 turrets on each side of the map, and then somebody would yell go, and then we'd start playing?
I think that was the pinnacle of casting, because you had to find anything to talk about for that period of time where it was formulaic.
There was a certain beauty to the kind of like little changes people started doing, but it was so specific that not many people appreciated the beauty in it. Now Misfits, because they're just stronger on the map and their push ends up on the bottom side, they obviously picked the residual objective, which is the Cloud Dragon. I don't think it matters as much, but what it does do is it spawns the next dragon sooner, which they can take because they're technically in control of most fights.
However, it is the Ocean, so once again, not a dragon that you necessarily want in the mid game. Very happy to get early, but neither the dragon RNG working out in their favor thus far.
Yeah, this is the vision for Misfits. Really good game vision, and that's a problem when you lane swap. You eventually have to move back into an area that you previously did not control. And if the enemy support played it well, it is literally with wards, so you're essentially face checking. Jesiz right now needs help getting the vision back, and he needs to do it fast because sOAZ is pushing out in the bottom lane, and he can't do it safely. He is completely in the dark right there.
And while both teams have traded vision, Fnatic on the top side, Misfits on the bottom side, there is no one even remotely near Alphari. He is completely safe.
And that is because it is really hard to 1, gank a Camille. 2, it's much harder to gank a fed Camille. And you basically need 3 people for that. And Misfits, they can deduce whether 3 people are going to Alphari, and he is now so confident. And that is the problem when you play an open map and you have a weaker laner.
No focus on the dragon. Still far away from spawning.
It's
Misfits.
about 5 minutes, guys.
Looks like they're walking in circles, probably looking at their vision, maybe hoping to find a pick here.
They're waiting for the wave to push out. Look at sOAZ, right? Like he was also waiting for people to be revealed. Now we can push out safely. It's literally just waiting for the minimap, check the dots, how many people are missing. If I can't see them, I assume they're trying to kill me.
No one trying to kill sOAZ right now. He's free to push. Pressure continues. Alphari backs off on the top side, shifts the lane matchup, so he will go up against sOAZ again. And Misfits continuing to roam as a pack of 4 here, laying down a little bit of vision, trying to gain control of this map, trying to make the next move. They've been passive so far, reactive so far in the plays that they want to make, and it's working for them.
And now it's really important that these teams keep communicating who's missing, where can there be wards. Do I need to push this wave fast, slow? How much time can I take? Because the map is too big for a single support sidestone to ward it. So you'll need to make some assumptions. Otherwise, you will be at risk of getting picked off.
Still yellow trinkets for the team. They know this is still the period of the game where they don't need a blue. They don't need to worry about checking the Baron. So they will have a little bit more vision available. Elise as well with the Tracker's Knife.
Oh, yeah. But poor sOAZ. Triforce Camille with Tabis is so hard to deal with.
And Rift Herald buff, man. It's just, and nasty. Yeah, just Cloud Drake as well, so even if you do manage to start to get away, she'll chase you down eventually. The lane is long enough. Alphari will kill sOAZ.
Yeah, Rekkles is stuck in the mid lane. That's what we were talking about in champs, like 3 split pushers, 2 lanes. Someone's got to bite the bullet and go mid. You have the Karma for additional wave clear here. But Hansama is much more comfortable clearing on his own. Now it's a different duo that we need to look at. So early on, we were like Alphari and KaKAO. PowerOfEvil and KaKAO, but right now it's KaKAO and IgNar versus Broxah and Jesiz, and that honestly has been a weak point for Fnatic.
I believe it wasn't until the middle of the season where we saw Jesiz shift his attention from buying early laning items to getting the early Sightstone to help support the team.
No more tier 2 relics, as you said, or spell thieves rather. Ruby Sightstone, investing in wards as fast as they can. We'll see how much they pair together for vision, but it definitely seems like Misfits is using that power in the bottom lane. Push out, yeah, push out in. get sOAZ revealed, then have Alphari group with the team, which means double safe vision deep, which means then you go mid prio. And look, Alphari is with the team while sOAZ is still kind of scared in the bottom lane. And now he has to join his team, so he's going to lose farm on that slow pushing wave in the bottom lane. Fnatic, yeah, they're getting pushed around the map.
They have to be careful too. They can't commit just a single member to defend this. They're going to have to back off and give this up. You can't risk getting dived by the Camille, the Elise, the Ryze, the whole team there to back up. So Fnatic just concede an objective, and suddenly we're looking at a little bit more than a 2K gold lead in the favor of Misfits.
Yeah, sOAZ wasn't sure, like, do I push out here? Do I help my team? He ran over to essentially do nothing. Luckily, the lane wasn't slow pushing, as I said. It was in a soft freeze, so he didn't really lose too much farm there. And he lost time and what we call tempo, but he's just desperately trying to catch up. He's even, like, taking his time here. What Fnatic is trying to do is funnel as much of the gold into sOAZ while taking mini hits on all the other members, hoping that he can become relevant in the duel versus Alphari. That's why he's freezing in the bottom lane.
It's a long-term investment at this stage of the game.
One of the weaknesses of freezing bottom lanes is that the rest of the map has to play 5v4, right?
And it's so interesting because when we first started seeing those deep freezes, teams were like, how do we counter it? How do we deal with it? What is this strategy? Season 3, Season 4 era. And now it's like, oh, you want to freeze? We'll take every other part of the map knowing that you can't come 5 strong.
I do distinctly remember SK Gaming fighting a lot of the freezes in the bottom lane. This was Season 3, I believe, where you would get a lane advantage, freeze bot lane, and you tell your team, yeah, these guys are toast. They can't do anything. Well, Nif would just run mid, siege mid lane, and push in our mid lane turret and just take it. And like, but we have a freeze. We're supposed to win. And that's when we started understanding that, you know, the game is played on the map, not just on individual lanes.
Yeah. CS isn't everything. Well, you do need to be able to pick it up in lane. Sometimes you just got to push the wave back out.
And that's why sOAZ eventually turned that around, you know, because he doesn't want to wait for Alphari to show topside. You want to preemptively push it a bit. No, Alphari can catch the wave. I don't think he'll be freezing. He'll be fast pushing it back the other direction. He doesn't want to leave any moment where sOAZ can join the Fnatic team and force his teleport too early.
And we call back to the Misfits graphic we saw earlier in the game.
the classic LeBlanc clone check on the Nasher. It's one way of dealing with it.
Misfits, though, well on track to be back in fighting form. This is pretty much their average gold lead when we saw them performing at their peak, not the most recent slump. So clearly confident coming into this series versus Fnatic.
It's also because the opposing team is drafting split push and losing, and it's one of the hardest matchups to play. If you're playing similar comps and you're doing it worse, then yeah, you just get pushed around. There's nothing you can do. You can't. Fnatic isn't playing a comp where, for example, they have like the Rocket style, right? We are behind, but we're just gonna brute force a team fight with Nautilus, or you know, Fizz flanking, or something, right?
Or eventually the chain CC from an Alistar Swain, ensuring you can knock down the Fed members.
Yeah.
There's not. I mean, is there? I guess is the better question.
Like,
is there late game insurance?
It's like flash, Karma Q, gas you. You're slow, buddy.
You can see some local Misfits fans here to watch the series.
Yep. Didn't get the jerseys though. I remember when in North America, was it FlyQuest, they were all wearing like P1 jerseys. Like literally all of them and their staff. There's like 10 jerseys in that picture.
That's an investment.
They tripled the sales.
That. Oh my.
Yeah, they're definitely cheering for the Misfits here. And it's going well so far. We saw a lot of smiles on the Rocket lineup. Because again, for people who somehow have been living under a rock, if Fnatic lose this series, not the game, the series versus Misfits, that means Rocket go to playoffs after a totally unprecedented win streak for them. What is it, 6 series in a row now?
6 series in a row, taking down the only team to take down G2 this season.
In a series.
In a series. Of course, there have been teams to find games, Fnatic among them. But remember, it doesn't matter how sloppy it is. It doesn't matter if it's the messiest series of their lives. Fnatic just need to find the win. And right now, things not off to a great start.
No, and the more important part is what does it do with the mentality for Fnatic here. You know, this is a team that plays on emotion. If it goes well, it goes great, and you'll see the smiles. But so often during defeating losses, we saw Rekkles leave the stage briefly and then come back and just kind of sit on his own.
And we saw Rekkles at the start of this game, head in his hands. He knows the pressure is on. The whole team knows the pressure is on. The prestige of Fnatic.
But he was drafted as a leader. He's supposed to rally these youngsters and just kind of be at the front of the team, right? Be the veteran that the team needs to rally behind, but it's a very, very tough task to be in.
And how quickly things change, Krepo. You come in, the all-European roster, no communication issues, everyone on the same page, the hunger to win, but things just don't work.
Yeah, play up against KaKAO, washed up in the, what is it, LSPL. Not even LPL anymore at one point. And then, nah, this guy can't be good. No way.
No, he's not still good.
He's done. You know, so many players from that era. Oh, nope. KaKAO can still play League of Legends. Don't give him Lee Sin.
League of Legends really well.
Yep.
Showing that so far in this game as well. 2-0. A little bit of a split between the tanky and the AP
And
build.
just really safe ganks. Like, yes, KaKAO only got 2 kills, but he was pathing pretty smartly in ways that were very hard to punish for Broxah. That's a clone.
That's a clone. Stacking up the tier there for Ryze. Never mind, it's already stacked. No excuse. They thought it was the real LeBlanc for a second.
Just got to show him, you know, no mercy. Not even clones survive.
I mean, it's slow and steady for Misfits right now, Krepo. And this starts to feel a little bit like the Misfits of the start of the season, where we're taking it a little slow. But right as I say that, suddenly their attention shifts towards the Baron.
They're just hiding. They're it's all about the perception, you know, the illusion of Baron being done. The only way you throw this play is, right there. That's a kill. If you have a ward over the wall and you see LeBlanc dashing into a snare, dead. So Fnatic right now, they have to make life-threatening plays to even see whether Misfits are doing Nashor or not. And Misfits, if the life-threatening play fails for Fnatic, lose nothing. Unless they start the Baron.
Starting the Baron, sOAZ splits on the bottom side. Blue Trinket comes out, briefly reveals before it is disabled.
But IgNar is looking for a massive zone here. He sees Caps, but alone he can't do it. They turn on to Jesiz.
Jesiz just gonna get popped. Caps can't even make it to the back of the pit. In comes the Realm Warp.
That's 1 down. 5 people rotate swiftly into the mid lane. sOAZ is in the base. He's looking for a teleport, but Fnatic as a team are lost. So they're split. Look at Rekkles. He reveals on the top side, which means Misfits, at worst, they will run to 3 people in the mid lane, and they're just gonna take that trade.
And they're so good at diving. No one from Fnatic can even risk approaching this tower. It's all too easy. They're going to keep going.
Yeah, keep your eyes on Alphari. He can BD engage here and reset the turret aggro.
No, Fnatic aren't even giving up a fight. Rekkles is too far away. This is falling apart for them.
Yeah, Broxah looking for the flank, but their AD carry is in the top lane, pushing in minions, so that it is 2 turrets, an inhibitor, a kill for PowerOfEvil squad here in the Misfits. And honestly, Fnatic, they're not fighting back.
And Caps, a half-hearted chain, the only sign of commitment to that engagement. Misfits.
But you need 2 chains. At least.
That's the rule. All right, well, for now, Fnatic have given up a pretty major advantage. They're not out of the game. They're down 5K.
Misfits, they're just camping. Get the s'mores out, boys.
Can you out Fnatic? Can you death rush better?
I'm tired of that.
The issue is every EU team does it now.
Yeah.
So does NA. So does a lot of people.
Yeah, because it's smart.
Sometimes it's the right choice.
Denying vision and then forcing people into a face check is a great idea. Oh, the clone goes into the pit. Misfits have a ward in the Baron pit, so that's really good because you need to know when people are checking. sOAZ with the riposte, but that's Alphari.
Hextech Ultimatum goes in. Grand Challenge is issued as well. Alphari just taking his time waiting. In comes the Kennen, buying a bit of time. Alphari getting locked down, trying to leap back in on sOAZ. Flash to extend, gets the kill. Rekkles wants one back. He's going to get it. Caps is here as well. KaKAO, have you overstayed? In comes Ryze.
In comes Ryze. He brings the minions soon. KaKAO dies. He needs to kill Rekkles.
PowerOfEvil going back in. Can he kill Caps? Can he lock him down? Arrow goes over the wall. It's not enough. Rekkles all alone on the front lines, but he keeps dishing out the damage. Hansama bit off a bit more than he can chew. That's the shutdown.
That's 3 kills for Rekkles, and that was a very late teleport for the Misfits. So we see when the game accelerates and they need to make very swift decisions, Misfits, they break down a little bit because that play wasn't necessary. Alphari did not need to go for an E-flash aggressive there without the teleport. We saw Fnatic respond much faster with the teleport of their own, and now they just buy themselves some time.
High tempo, Fnatic kind of thriving in those chaotic situations. So many veteran voices to make the right calls. Misfits.
That's the strength too of these kind of duelist champions. Kennen, 1v1, 1v2, great. You know, team fight, not so much. Unless he gets, he is unperturbed and he can really stack the marks on multiple people right there.
Fnatic regaining control over the pit for now. The lead is not insurmountable. 4K difference, 2 dragons, and not the ones that are going to make a difference in the late game.
Yeah, and then also they just removed 3 minutes of that inhibitor downtime. So not only is Misfits being denied mid lane farm because their lane is auto-pushing, they couldn't capitalize on an objective. They tunneled on the wrong side of the map for no objective. Fnatic did a great map play there.
Fnatic all back off. Misfits still hesitant to approach into that pit to clear out any vision, not wanting to risk anything. Now grouping as they push down to the Mountain Drake. They know this is theirs. They know their advantage is big enough that they can take this, but will Fnatic respond?
No, I think they're just going for vision trade. At this point, it's a lifeline. You let him waste some time. sOAZ is lurking here on PoE. It's going to be a tough fight, though. I don't think he wants to take that one.
No MR in his kit. Quite yet, or no MR in the inventory, rather. Decent spot to be. Caps continues to poke out. Just trying to burst down IgNar before a fight can start. He got very close earlier after the fight, but IgNar walking away with his life.
But look at Fnatic, they're happy because it'll take Misfits at least 40 seconds to remove the setup that Fnatic have done right now, and they need to move in again. There is 2 more wards onto IgNar. Let's see where he can place them. One in the... That's a plant, actually. We'll place that one. Maximum value out of the sweeps. They're not stacking it. KaKAO still has a sweep ready. But there is a more priority in the bot lane. sOAZ is slowly like putting the pressure on Alphari. Or Alphari might be baiting him, but it's definitely sOAZ pushing in now. This Fiora on 2 items. Quite strong.
A lot of armor. A lot of health on the side of Alphari, but won't help against the percentage true damage.
Alright, good parry right there. Parry versus riposte. Ah, and Rekkles, this is a classic Rekkles move. When everybody just assumes that it's a Baron dance, he likes hiding in corners. sOAZ is just going to play Dumbo right here and take a bad trade and be like, oh, I don't know how this matchup goes. Surprise!
We talked about it at the start of the game, playing left versus playing right. Sometimes intentionally dumbing it down a little bit, leaving what appears to be an opening for the opponent.
But sOAZ needs to play appropriately scared. He can't just run in. And this might be the moment right here. Alphari could get sucked in, but Misfits, they're looking for a Baron power play.
Running for the Baron. There are 2 members on the bottom side. If Rekkles shows, what will it mean? Leaps out. So far making it to safety. Third stack comes in. Alphari locked up. Grand challenge is issued. The Hextech ultimatum comes down. It's Rekkles though. He may just get taken down. The heal's not enough. That's the 1-for-1. But Misfits, they're on the Baron.
Yeah, but it's enough because it's 1-for-1. Alphari did his job, and now sOAZ can TP in, and this can be a numbers advantage for Fnatic.
Caps coming in, the fancy footwork, not enough. Stays around for far too long, gets cut through. Misfits, though, they immediately start at the Baron, but it has reset. The health bar is back to full. Broxah, he's the hero. He's over the wall. sOAZ is here as well. Misfits burning everything. sOAZ locked up for at least a moment. Does get cut down in the end.
Yeah, and in these clutch moments, you need swift communication. sOAZ went in again ahead of his team. He did it on the Camille previously, too. With caps down, they didn't want to go for the Broxah 50-50 steal. He's on a ward, too. Or is that his own? Oh, he's definitely
Broxah
spotted.
Locked up. Chain CC coming in. They're holding. They're waiting.
They deny all the vision. Broxah's going to walk up again, and he will die. Look at the patience here from Misfits. This is really solid execution.
Broxah, no option. Out comes the Realm Orb. Broxah going to try to leap to safety, but Hansama's just right there. That's the Rampage. That's the Baron. Misfits 8K up.
I like the idea from Fnatic on the bottom lane, but the execution from Alphari meant that there was no Rekkles pushing. Because imagine if Alphari drops, the entire scope of this Baron contest changes, right? Because it leaves a Kennen on the bot lane on a push who can thread an inhib. So then the mission from Fnatic is no longer contest the Baron, it is stall the taking of the Baron, forcing Misfits into a bit of a rush, which means it's much easier to steal for Broxah. So Rekkles falling at the last hit here, follow this fight again, is so crucial because nobody can come to this bottom lane. There is no teleport on PowerOfEvil. If Rekkles somehow survives here, it's an entirely different story. And it's this last hit right here on 35%, by the way.
Precision protocol, the Titanic Hydra proc just cuts through the life bar.
Again, because right now sOAZ comes in, and I think he goes over eager. I think Caps also goes over eager here, because they're so desperately contesting this Nashor when they can take more time. Look at sOAZ; he goes in alone, but to what purpose?
And where's Jesiz?
What is the goal here? You need to steal anyways. Wait until it goes low, and that is the problem with swift calls from Fnatic. But imagine right now if there's a Kennen on the bot lane, it changes the entire scope of this play. Alphari really saved the Misfits there.
Solid 1-for-1, making all the difference. It's Rekkles who tries to metagame him, mind game him. You don't expect the Kennen to be there. He may not have expected it, but he reacted in time. And now Misfits, they're looking to break their second inhibitor. Alphari trying to make sure that second one's locked up. They take it again. But it's a pretty easy siege at this stage.
Yep.
CC locks up.
Alphari, V2.
Hextech ultimatum goes in. Hookshot wall dive.
He definitely wants to hug the wall every time to not give Fiora the opportunity to proc that full ultimate and get the heal off.
Pretty massive, but both inhibitors fall. Baron buff still up and available. Another dragon spawning in a minute or two, but it's all too easy for Misfits at this point to move down to the bottom map to continue the pressure. One objective left in their sights. IgNar, okay, well, you know.
Man, it's like when you see a bouncing castle. Sometimes you just...
You have to.
You have to.
Doesn't matter if you're a grown man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to play the bouncing castle. All right. Alphari, pressure on the bottom side. Misfits, we can see the clear objective in their sight, but I don't know if they want to still go for the full 5-on-5.
Oh, I think they definitely can right here, especially when they have creeps protecting them. Like, remember, you need to look at the engage pattern for Fnatic. It's Broxah flanking, that's it. Or sOAZ flashes it, presses E, and stuns 5 people.
Or Rekkles flashes and immediately dies because he does not have Azanias.
That is the tragic death of a Kennen who gets a 5-man ultimate and then remembers he is not AP Kennen.
I've tickled them. I've tickled them all, team. Time to go.
My job here is done. My yordle people need it. Now with the flank, trying to lock up. Caps. Look, this is the
lot of damage. IgNar. That's a ton of damage. Oh, Alphari comes over the wall. Fnatic looks to find a way back in, but Broxah goes down. No flank to find the engage.
Yeah, Sama died with flash and heal up, so he must have done something wrong.
Do manage to get the 2-for-1 in the end.
Maybe it's IgNar who wears the pants in that bot lane relationship.
That was an aggressive flash.
Sama, you are the support now. Look at me.
You ult. You are just an ult. I am the damage.
Yep. Side still? No.
Misfits moving in to take out the third inhibitor. This is all but over for Fnatic. Now it is a series. They do have a chance to come back, but at this rate, Misfits...
No, this game one is so likely to be over, barring any major draw. What we need to think about now is the mindset that Fnatic will enter the second game in, because nothing is lost. It's still a best of 3 here. The type of draft they will want to play, because playing this heavy of a style where it all relies on split push and targeting PowerOfEvil in picks and bans. It was actually Broxah with a good kick there. Hansama could have flashed. I think he greeted a tiny bit there. But again, like, look at Fnatic's stall control, right? Okay, PowerOfEvil small champion pool. Let's push it. Let's squeeze it. Did it work? No. Ryze still formidable on PowerOfEvil. Now, what is the key element in this entire series? Split push. Well, then maybe cater your draft around enabling sOAZ a bit better and targeting Alphari, not giving him the Camille and allowing them on red side to ban out the Renekton and ban out the Fizz. Or maybe just put more jungle pressure top. Have Broxah start bottom side.
A misread, it would appear, on the game for the side of Fnatic. And when game one was all too crucial, we talked about it before, Fnatic, a team, needs to find those game one wins. A team that isn't feeling the best right now, that the pressure is on. Getting a game one win, getting that momentum could help boost them ahead. And Misfits, a team we've already talked about, they're playing for pride at this point. There's nothing else on the line for them.
Yeah, they're playing also for mechanisms. They want to practice, what is it, like shot calling against an opponent who is doing everything to win. Also, who can get creative. If there's ever a team you want to play, it's teams like this as you're heading into a best of 5 for playoffs. Because you want to be ready for every single possible cheese map play a team can throw at you. And Fnatic definitely has a variety of, you know, interesting plays.
Yeah. Say what you want, but Org has been around for a long time. Rekkles, no stranger. Deep playbook here.
It's actually, this is the sad part. When you go from 2 inhibits to 3, the amount of super creeps in each lane triples. It goes from 2 to 6. And they're all piling in right now.
Oh no. Just continues to move forward. Misfits, it's a slow and steady siege. They get a little bit of poke. They wait for the creeps to move in.
Yeah, this is Protoss versus Zerg right here.
Oh no. Right now the Zerg are winning, but Cap's trying to make a difference. Leaps forward. His little version of the Messiah play does get knocked up. Out comes the redemption. Hansama is in trouble. Kicked back. They do not have the follow-up damage. They do actually, in the end, not manage to get him. No, do manage to take him down, but now moving forward, IgNar potentially caught out, does manage to land the snare. Broxah trying to find a play here, but it's only IgNar that they've got set in the sights. The rest of Misfits is up and available. Out comes the Realm Warp. The Nexus is exposed. Misfits, they sneak right back. They're going to take game one, and Fnatic looking lost. At the end of the day, such a solid start for Misfits. Yeah. Slow and steady. They definitely won the race, and Fnatic have to be hurting after that one. They got their comfort picks.
I really love the way KaKAO approaches series on this Elise. Instant lock-in from Lee Sin. Early on, aggressive jungle. KaKAO says, you know what, I'll match your aggression. We'll go gank for gank, and he just completely outpath. He was always ready to defend PowerOfEvil, not chasing into rushes too far, not waiting for Broxah to counter gank. You know what, you get scared out of the lane, he sits mid, pushes out, and then top lane, that sneak, where he played with Alphari and they targeted sOAZ, and then the side lane pressure was all for Misfits. And again, a matchup that is so decided by who has the stronger split push.
And I feel like the mind game is just consistently moving in the favor of Misfits. That little mind game you talk about in the top lane to the left, get him to move to the right. We saw Rekkles on the bottom side of the map. He's trying to play mind games too, but he doesn't see how much damage Alphari can do.
Yeah, they drafted 3 split pushers. None of them could deal with Alphari. All you need to do is draft 1 and camp, well, the hell out of that guy, and that's what Misfits did.
And I feel like this is kind of the mismatch for them as a team, right? Is that everybody wants to be that split push guy, and someone has to sacrifice themselves.
And you don't want to do that against Misfits because Alphari, like, he's not as good on tanks. This guy is not great at teleporting into fights. Technically, sOAZ should have like more experience there as a veteran player. Saying, you know what, I'm gonna TP in. Let's force a 5v4 here. Because when things got like quick, Misfits, they were hesitating a few times, right? Remember that bot lane fight?
Yeah.
The Ryze was just like, guys, I'm realm walking in, but it takes 2 seconds. Rekkles has a triple kill by the time that fight was well on the road.
See how they adapt, see how it looks when they move forward. Well, with that loss, Fnatic are in a very tough spot. Let's send it to the analyst desk to break down that game 1.
Thank you so much, Drakos. Not a good game to start off for Fnatic fans and a very controlled game coming out of Misfits. And we wanted to take a look at the draft specifically because we are in game 1 for Fnatic of a very important match. Obviously, the most important series are going to play up until now to get into playoffs. And you guys had some question marks as to the strategy that they drafted, especially with that top lane matchup, opting into something that is on a knife's edge. Literally.
It comes back to what we were discussing during the beginning of the game, which was very much that we wanted to see sOAZ in a winning top lane matchup. We wanted to see him having a successful side lane. And when you pick a Fiora into a Camille, you're going for the skill matchup. You're looking to try and get the outplay onto your opponent when they had the freedom to move the Kennen up into the top lane. They drafted it early. They had the flexibility in the champion. And instead, they said, Rekkles is going to have this. We're going to see if sOAZ can outplay Alphari, who's been pretty impressive throughout the split.
I mean, I think just big picture, Fnatic sticks to the same strategy they played the last 2 weeks. We can't fault them for that one, which is obviously split push, only split push. Let's just go all 3 lanes at all times and like very chaos-acty style. The fact that they don't put Kennen top lane, when sOAZ is a fantastic Kennen player, has played it for years, and just take a much safer laning phase and then pick a Lucian AD carry for Rekkles, his second choice right now, to have a more well-rounded comp that is not based purely on can sOAZ by any means survive that top lane, because you're normally not going to survive against Camille as Fiora early on.
Yeah, and TLDR, we wanted to see something happen there, and then it goes a bit worse because with Kennen being in our bottom lane, we felt like sOAZ did want to try and make a play there, but they're not able to, which puts them even further behind.
So in the top lane in particular, we looked a lot at whether or not sOAZ was able to get a lead, and usually in the early game, you do see a Camille take the advantage, but he played the lane a little bit weird. He didn't use his teleport, possibly to set up a play for later on, but also when you are playing this 1v1 matchup, you have to be so careful with your use of the riposte, because the key skill you have to dodge is the stun from Alphari. It mitigates so much of his damage, and it makes trading in the lane so much easier. And after the death, it transitioned into a Rift Herald for Alphari, and at this point, with a 40 CS lead, a top tower taken at 12 minutes into the game, things are looking bleak for the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, this is again the problem now when you play split push, is if you're losing that side lane already this early on, you suddenly don't have anywhere where you shine. That's the thing for Fiora. If she falls behind, which is why she's not played very often, because she is fairly weak early on, she can't really go anywhere. sOAZ for the rest of the game was just trying to push out the side lane as much as possible, but whenever he did so, if Camille showed up, he ran away. Until the point where Rekkles would actually start joining him. But that was obviously where Misfits had full map control, because it was 2 members fighting versus 1 in the bottom lane. We have that as a replay as well, coming in where they finally get the Baron. And that was the thing, like Misfits, from watching this game, I think we were just saying around 17, 18 minutes, like, no mistakes, they're going to just win this. Because they will push in mid, they can push in top. Alphari's going to win the side lane here. This is the only time where he's in trouble in a 2v1. But then if you look at your minimap, well, the rest of Misfits are now doing a 4v3 Baron. It becomes a 4v4 with sOAZ TPing in. But Fnatic's comp can't really team fight. The Kennen is not the strongest team fighting AD carry, and he's obviously not here at this point, but even if he was, it would be super difficult for them to actually win fights. So you can't win split push, you can't really win team fights, and that is a problem then with your composition.
Yeah, everything was just on a knife's edge for Fnatic, and that brings me to the question, was this just too risky of a draft or too risky of a game plan to do in game 1 of a series that is so important?
I think this is where you show your liability as a team when you rely on one strategy, which is split push. When Shen gets banned away, the Camille blind pick basically just said, you know what, sOAZ, there's nothing you're going to pick right now. We don't think you're going to pick anything that's going to beat this champion. So your strategy is now going to suffer because you're going to lose that top lane. And the Ryze counter pick to LeBlanc made them also lose that lane. Yeah. Or at least go even. So the strategy kind of falls apart.
Yeah, obviously very ragging on the Fnatic game because this is what they had to win. We did see from Misfits, they played it standard and they played it well. What is your judgment on how they played this game? Their Baron was super, super clean, at least.
I think that the majority of the game was promising. I thought that a few of their mid-game decisions were a little questionable because there were many times where they could have actually taken that Baron at a much earlier point. Something that I think that teams in Europe don't fully utilize is the Ryze ultimate and its actual ability to make a swift rotation for 4 or 5 members from one part of the map to another. And all Misfits needed to do was push mid. They already had top pushing. They had Alphari down the bottom. Use the Ryze ultimate over to the Baron, take it, and Fnatic have very few answers. And that could have made it a little bit faster. But regardless, aside from these few mistakes, yes, Misfits overall had a very promising game.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the draft. I like the order, especially from Hussein and the rest of Misfits here. Getting that top lane pick in the first phase so they can ban 2 top laners, Rekkles and Fizz, gave Alphari a big advantage, and then last picking for mid lane as well. So PowerOfEvil can get a good matchup against Caps. It just shows to me like really good preparation for Misfits, and they knew which lanes to worry about, which was top and mid, in order to prevent this split push from happening.
All right, let's take a step back because we must remember that yesterday in the Do or Die series, Roccat also lost game 1 to G2 and then fought back. So do you guys see it happening very short? Do you see Fnatic coming back? And what do you want to see? No more split push?
I think that the pressure is going to mount too much for Fnatic, and I do not think they'll be able to bring it back in game 2.
I think Fnatic wins through split pushing. So I think they should stick to the style, but in this kind of game here, give it a Kennen top lane, pick Lucian. A little bit more well-rounded comp that can actually fall a little bit behind and then not completely, be out of the game.
All right, let's see what happens. They started in Challenger, now they here. Misfits are 1 game away from keeping Fnatic out of the playoffs for the first time in EU LCS history. We'll see how hard Fnatic fight back in game 2 when we return.
Oh, Mom, I got the camera.
Auto attacks gets out. Already used the parry chain. CC comes in. Hextech ultimatum. Don't even need to die. Alphari just taking his time waiting. In comes the Kennen. Buying a bit of time. Alphari getting locked down. Trying to leap back in on sOAZ. Flash to extend. Gets the kill. Rekkles wants one back. He's going to get it. First stack comes in. Alphari locked up. Grand challenge is issued. The Hextech ultimatum comes out. It's Rekkles though. He may just get taken down. The heal's not enough. Out comes the Realm Warp. Broxah going to try to leap to safety, but Hansama's just right there. That's the Rampage, that's the Baron. Misfits been available. Out comes the Realm Warp. The Nexus is exposed. Misfits, they sneak right back. They're going to take game 1, and Fnatic looking lost.